Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about Scott Turner and why I think he is better than most people think, and why I think most of the offensive issues are because of execution and not because of play calling. Not saying, Scott Turner is perfect, but I think the issues are not all on him. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. It really helps out the channel a ton. And also make sure you guys check out WinView, link in the description and also on your screen. Let's get right into the video. And like I said, Scott Turner is not perfect. He has his faults, but I just think he gets way too much hate sometimes. People are talking about, having him fired when, he really hasn't even had a great, even an average quarterback so far in his tenure as a Washington football team offensive coordinator. I'm not sure how many quarterbacks he's had, but none of them are probably better than the 20th ranked quarterback in the league last year. He had Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, and Alex Smith, who was, battling through an injury for most of the time he was starting. And then this year, Heineke, and then, he had Ryan Fitzpatrick for about, a quarter and a half. But let's talk about Scott Turner. I mean, yesterday against the Packers, the Washington football team only scored 10 points despite having over 270, almost 270 passing yards and 195 rushing yards. They were in the opponent's 30-yard line or closer 7 times and only scored 10 points. And that just cannot happen. Some of that sure is on Scott Turner, but if you watch the game, I think we can all say that was mostly not on Scott Turner. The execution in these games is just not good at all. I mean, Scott Turner can only do so much. He can, drop a good play, but the offense still has to be able to execute it. One time, we all know they were in the red zone, and I think it was 3rd and goal, and, Heineke scrambles, has an easy touchdown, and, I've said this before, I don't like the rule at all. He's obviously not sliding. He's, going down, trying to avoid the hit, but he still extends his arm a little bit. But Heineke's got to know that rule. If he walks in there, that's 7 points with the extra point. That is 7 points that you put on the scoreboard, and Washington's only down by 7 at that point if he gets that. And then, that's just super unfortunate. Terry McLaurin also had a job. I mean, he was amazing in that game. Besides that, it wasn't a perfectly placed ball by Heineke, but it's a catch that Terry McLaurin would say he has to make, and that just has to happen. And also on that same possession, Ricky Seals-Jones was obviously held in the end zone right before he was going to catch the ball, and they didn't call it. And of course the next possession, very similar play happens where Benjamin St-Juste is kind of grabbing Devontae Adams behind the back, and they call that. But that's 14 points right there. And then Antonio Gibson, this really isn't his fault, but he tripped over Eric Flowers' leg, and if he gets that, if he doesn't trip, it's likely that's likely a touchdown. That's likely a touchdown, and that's another 7 points. And then obviously we missed a field goal, and there were some other times where we went for it, but if it was a closer game, we probably would have kicked the field goal. I mean, so we could have easily scored 30 plus points. And each week teams have one, maybe 2 plays like this where, like, man, that should have easily been a touchdown. But we had 4 or 5 of these plays in this game that, man, obvious touchdowns that should have happened, where Scott Turner drew up a good play and it just didn't happen. I thought Scott Turner had a good game. I liked what he did on that first possession. Heineke had that read option, and he got a first down on that play. I just really liked how he involved Terry McLaurin, threw in some trick plays as well. DeAndre Carter had a nice run. Of course, he fumbled it. We also got lucky yesterday in terms of the fumbles. We fumbled the ball 4 times, and we only lost it once. I mean, that could have been way worse, but and Heineke definitely contributed to Washington not scoring as much as they should have, but also it falls on some of the other players as well. I mean, Terry, don't like to, bash him because he was amazing. He was amazing in that game, but should have made that catch. Gibson, if he stays up, that's a touchdown. And there's other plays where the offense just wasn't executing. And the thing is, you also have to realize this offense is playing without pretty much most of the starters. I mean, on the offensive line, Brandon Sheriff and Sam Cosmi are both out. Those are two really good starters in the National Football League. And then, you have Logan Thomas, one of the better tight ends in the NFL. He is out. You have Curtis Samuel, who's basically been out all year. You have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's out. So, I mean, Scott Turner is doing this with a bunch of guys out, and I think he's done a very good job. You guys can see that. Oh, and yeah, Heineke also in the red zone had an interception where Ricky Seals-Jones, if it would have been a tough pass to make, but if he throws a good ball, that's a touchdown, and Ricky Seals-Jones scores. But he did almost the exact same play against the Saints or Falcons, where he just throws it very short, trying to throw it in the back of the end zone, but it ends up being short and they pick it off. Yeah, that was against the Saints. So that's something Heineke needs to work on, because it looks like Fitz is going to be out for at least next game, and probably the game after the bye as well. So Heineke's likely going to be the starter for the next few weeks, and he's going to have to improve, and the players also around him will have to improve as well. I want to read this tweet right here. I guess it qualifies as a hot take, but I actually think the Washington offensive staff is fine. What they're doing is modern, and a good QB would be producing consistently. Also, the tight end offensive line coaches are clearly doing their job, and I've been saying this for a while. I mean, the tight end coach Pete Haener and offensive line coach John Matsko, they've done an amazing job with their positions. I mean, last year that group was not very talented, and they turned it into an average to an above average unit. And this year, even with the injuries on the offensive line has been really good. Except for last game, it wasn't great. Still wasn't bad, but they've done a really good job. And Pete Haener with the tight end, group turned Logan Thomas, who was a career backup, former quarterback, really never started, into a guy who is a top 10 tight end. And then Ricky Seals-Jones has looked really good as well, and he never really did that much in the National Football League. So I really like what the offensive, staff has done overall. I know the results haven't been there. I think that's partly because of, their injuries on offense, but also just simple execution where, if they have a better quarterback, and mostly a better quarterback, I think it fixes a lot of the issues. I mean, and I think this is a different question, not really about Scott Turner, but just you need a franchise quarterback. I mean, that's just how it goes. If you want to compete, if you want to have sustained success, you need a franchise quarterback, or at least an above average quarterback. You look at the Bengals, it's not like they have an amazing roster outside of Joe Burrow. Yes, they have good players. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, on defense, Trey Hendrickson. They got good players, but it's not like they have elite players out, every position outside of their quarterback. They have, some solid players, but having a franchise quarterback, really elevates all the players around you, and, kind of takes away some of the holes on your roster. So, I mean, that's just what it's going to come down to. And also, you look at all the great offensive coordinators in the NFL. What do they almost all have in common? They got good quarterbacks. I mean, you look at the Rams last year without Jared Goff, or with Jared Goff, and then this year with Matthew Stafford. It's very, very, very different. And really their only change is, getting a better quarterback. So I want to see Scott Turner with a competent quarterback, a decent quarterback. And unfortunate Fitz got hurt, and, we'll see. We'll see. And even that doesn't qualify as, even close to a franchise quarterback. They really, really need to try to either get a veteran in the trade, but I don't want someone like Matt Ryan. I want someone like who has made many Pro Bowls before and is still somewhat in his prime. Someone like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, which is going to be very unrealistic, but I want them to try. And then after that, you go into the draft. Maybe even Deshaun Watson if he is cleared, but that's going to be hard for Washington Washington to do. I want to hear what you guys have to say about Scott Turner, because I always hear people complaining about him nitpicking certain plays, and he's not going to be perfect. There's going to be plays every game where across the league where offensive coordinators mess up. They didn't call the best plays, and sometimes Scott Turner in big situations and not the greatest. His 2-point conversions, I mean, he has yet to convert on a 2-point conversion as an offensive coordinator, at least with Washington. He's 0 for 8. I mean, that's something he has to improve. Sometimes needs to target his playmakers a little bit more. Terry McLaurin, I think he could use the running backs a little bit better, but who knows? He could be, it's part of it. The running back situation could be that he doesn't want to give Gibson too much work, because partly could have been the fumbling issues, but I think the bigger reason is because of his shin injury, and then also earlier in the season, his shoulder injury. But this offense has been moving the ball down the field, but some of these players have not been executing, especially near the red zone or on third downs, missing passes, dropping the ball, missing a block. I mean, there was times in the Chiefs game where if I think of Wes Schweitzer just holds on to his man for a little bit longer, holds on to the block a little bit longer, and Gibson is gone, or he's 30, 40 plus yards. And it's just little plays like that separate the good teams from the bad teams. And currently we're a bad team. We have to be better on offense. And I'm encouraged that we're able to move the ball a lot more this week, but we got to turn that into points. And we'll see if we're able to do it against Denver. They're very banged up, and maybe we'll be able to do it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.